Yeah, come on. Come on. Yes! Nailed it. But I think it's time to get back to work. Time to do another review, ladies and gentlemen. And I think we will do Flynn, Sons of Crimson. Let's get right into it. Hello, I am Mr. Flatface, a man of many faces and even more opinions, and this, my absolutely beautiful audience, is a game review. The game to be reviewed is Flynn, Son of Crimson, a 2D side-scrolling RPG. Flynn, Son of Crimson was developed by Studio Thunderhorse and published by Humble Games. You are tasked within this game tracking down and saving Rosantica before the Scourge destroys Flynn's home. You also have a companion, Dex, a mystical guardian dog, but don't worry, you and Dex are only together for, the tutorial. That's how fast this game went off the rails. I'm not even joking. The tutorial. Now, before we get started, little PSA. I will note that this game has favorable reviews, but also a lot of negative ones. And after further research of those reviews, of what other people thought, I feel my review is written fairly. Though harsh, it is fair. And also, remember, reviews are one person's opinion and may not agree with yours. Reviews will always be biased to the person who wrote it, because their likes and dislikes will be different than yours. But please enjoy the content. I think we should start off with what Flynn, Son of Crimson does right, just to make the review seem a little less negative. The music in Flynn, Son of Crimson is actually pretty decent. I didn't find it intrusive or grating at any point. It's actually got some great music, to be honest, though at no point do I think that the gameplay at all matched the intensity of the music, but we will get into that in a minute. Graphically, this game does look good as far as pixelated graphics go. I actually really like the look of Dex. She both looks proud and strong and menacing, so good job there. Other than that, there's a lot of repeating enemies and designs, though it is worth noting that this is a crowd-funded game, so we have to cut them some slack in some of these aspects. The gameplay in Flynn, Son of Crimson is actually quite standard. Mash your striking button and hope for the best. As a side-scrolling 2D platformer, we get all the tropes here. Water level that's annoying? Check. Sky level where if you miss you die? Check. Annoying auto-scroller that rushes you through the entire level at this annoying pace? Check. There is literally nothing in Flynn, Son of Crimson to distinguish itself from other platformers, and lacks the charm of some of the most memorable games within the same genre. It's just another jump here and attack that game. At the beginning of the game, I had high hopes because we have this giant guardian dog that is both menacing as it is beautiful, that is there to help us, but sadly, she is literally taken from us immediately at the end of the tutorial. Our rival just kind of sucks out all her power, and then we get told that we have to go travel the world to find the other 4 guardian spirits that are out and about in this giant world. What's kind of weird, though, is they make it seem like this is the most important thing we have to do, is save Dex and get her healed up. But really, there's this actual main story is this Scourge thing, but you kind of don't hear about it till the end of the game. That's how messed up this game is. I don't know if it was an identity thing or if they switched halfway through, but they start off with heal Dex, and then it ends with stop the Scourge. But there's very little to tie the two together other than this rival that took her power. I just find it odd that this heal Dex storyline kind of overshadows the Scourge storyline until the end of the game. There is mechanics throughout the game where you're fighting the Scourge, but you're always on the journey to heal Dex. It kind of reminds me of Fallout, where you have to find your son who was kidnapped at the beginning of the game, but then you do every side quest along the way, meaning that there's absolutely no urgency to finding your son. That's exactly what this game feels like. It feels like we have to heal our dog friend, our companion guardian thing, while there's a literal world-ending event happening. So it takes all the impact out of that world-ending event. I'm just saying, if they started with the, Scourge, it probably would have been more prevalent in my mind, but at no point in the game did I think about it until the very end of the game. So, yeah. All right, so off we go find some guardian spirits to heal our guardian dog Dex, who we lost immediately off the tutorial. The first few levels are going to be like a tutorial of sorts. There's really no point to them. There's no tasks to do within them. There's just get to the other side of the map as fast as possible. That is until the third guardian, but we'll get there in a minute. So quickly, you realize that the enemies take way too long to kill. So eventually, and I mean you will too, you'll end up just running past them. There's no consequences to doing this. There's no like threshold to kill a certain amount by the end of the map. There's literally no consequences at all. So you will definitely find this to be the way that you play. The enemies don't drop any gear or loot or healing items. They only drop a very small amount of gems, which are used to upgrade Flynn. And you can find those already in the map, as well as in crystal chunks that give you way more than any one single enemy will. Killing the enemies is not even worth it. It's a weird design choice. You could have made a really good puzzle platformer without enemies, or you could have made the enemies more of part of the puzzle rather than just having them there to be in the way and eventually just not even a thought in anybody's mind. When the game does make you fight the mobs, it's not difficult. You've already seen all the move patterns and the way that they're going to attack you throughout the entire game. There's very little variety in enemies. That is until you fight the guardians. So let's go meet our first guardian. All right, let's talk about this massive spike in difficulty. The game literally did zero to prepare the player for this. At no point have we seen these mechanics or even had an enemy that is even remotely this difficult. Now, I'm all for a challenging fight, but only when it feels fair. A way to do this would be to have a build-up to the fight. That way the player isn't caught with its pants around its ankles while it goes into a fight completely unprepared for what it's about to see. I was in the army for 7 years, and when we went through basic training, we didn't just start with the 13-kilometer rucksack march with 100 pounds on our back. No, we started with a 1K and then a 3K and then a 5K and so on and so forth. You do it in intervals, so then that way when you get to the final stage, that 13K, it's not so big. This game just started you straight at the end of that 13K. You're going to march that 13K and that's that. One nice thing the game does is if you do die during a boss fight, you just spawn back in the boss room. There's no run back time, so you get to learn the mechanics of the boss pretty easily, so that is nice. So you do get to eventually move on. I do have to say I would rather stand a chance walking into the room than not having any chance at all. Literally went from troll things with clubs that barely move to this. It's just a bit much, really. Okay. Let's breathe. Whew. Let's get that off our chest. All right, back to a calm, cool review, Mr. Flatface. Calm her down. After you beat the Guardian, you get a spirit and a weapon. The spirit is for Dex to help heal her, and the weapon's for you. You also unlock magic after killing a Guardian. Now, magic is literally just a key in this game. It helps open doors. Magic does little to no damage to enemies, even upgraded, so enjoy your super long to cast key to open a door. So we bring the spirit back to Dex, and we give it to her, which heals her, and her actual character model looks healthier, so that's a really good touch, and I give you props for that. I'm a sucker for world development, and watching Dex heal helps build my world immersion. I actually feel like I've done something to help this, Guardian, and I've actually changed the world a bit. So what's our next quest? Well, I'll tell you. It's go do the exact same thing again. So off we go. I do want to point out that at the beginning of the game, we were told that we had to get to the top of the mountain as fast as possible. So naturally, we took the most elaborate path to get there. I also want to point out that we don't get to pick the path we get to take. You just beat a level and the next path unlocks in an order that the developers chose, so this was a deliberate decision. It once again brings us back to the Fallout analogy I used earlier, where your kid got kidnapped at the beginning of the game and you're tasked with finding your kid, so you do every side mission within the game and go collect bottle caps and explore ruins, all while you're supposed to be finding your kid. It takes all impact out of the urgency to get to the top of the mountain to save the world and to save Dex, when you have to go do all this other running around first. We literally found an old man's hat. That was one of the quests we got. An old man's hat was more important than saving the entire planet and our guardian dog. Because the developers chose the path, it literally took all sense of progression and decision out of the player's hand. Sorry, I'm digressing, and it's not even the worst of it. This game just has a lot of the mechanics that drive me nuts in video games. I'm probably being a little bit harsher than I need to be. So after doing a terrible water level, that's not just this game, that's all games. Game devs, no one likes water levels, and for that matter, no one likes sky levels either. Just stop it. So we worked our way through the maps to the second Guardian. Once again, zero prep for this fight, and zero to get us ready for what we're about to see. The game just simply pushed us into a room and said, good luck. After some trial and error, we killed the Guardian to get the spirit and our new weapon, as well as our new magical talent. And also use these magic talents to explore new areas and access other parts of the map. Unfortunate part is that these levels are so boring that you don't want to go back and replay the levels. It's not like Mario, where the map design was so good you wanted to play it again and again and again, and the secrets were so worth it you just kept hunting to try to find the next one. There was nothing like unlocking a new area to go to in Mario. I remember that joy as a kid, and I remember doing it as an adult with the newer Mario games. Flynn, Son of Crimson has a similar mechanic where you can unlock these other paths, but there's no thrill to it. It feels dead. I'm sorry, Flynn, Son of Crimson. You're just not that game. You're just not. Another thing wrong is at the end of these Guardian fights, this thing pops up at the bottom of the screen. I don't know what it is because the game does this weird shutter effect to make it look better, and it blocks it out before anybody has any time to read it. What a time to be alive. That's a big oversight. Let's not lie. All right, so we take the spirit back to Dex and we heal her up. Her character model changes and we feel happy. We did it again, ladies and gentlemen. We healed Dex, our guardian dog. We lost immediately off the tutorial. We get our next task, and our task is, guess what? It's the same thing. We got to go do the same thing. Now, up until this point, I was enjoying myself a bit. I could get behind the casual pace, as casual games are fun to play. And I can forgive a lot of the boring level design and poor enemy choices, as it is a crowdfunded game. So it's not a big development studio. But that was all about to change. We're going to now start to see why there's so much salt in what I'm saying when it comes to this game. Enter stage left of the auto-scroll levels. At this point, we were simply running through the levels, showing no regard for the enemies that dwell within it. That is, until the auto-scrolling levels that take up over half my notes in my book. For those of you who don't know, when I play games while I'm recording, I take notes during my gameplay. I will literally pause the game and take a note of what I've seen. That way, when I write my reviews, you get my genuine reaction of what I was thinking at that time, because I might be writing a review weeks later. I just want to share with you guys actual notes per quote of what I wrote down so you guys know exactly what I was thinking at these moments. I really don't get what they wanted with the auto-scroll levels. Like, having a giant axe chase you through a level that is auto-scrolling is not fun, it's just annoying. End quote. You guys want another one? Here we go. So why make an auto-scrolling level where it has a giant gun that shoots half of the screen, but then also make it so that almost all the enemies get in your way and there's no way to dodge the bullets? End quote. The auto-scrolling levels do nothing but offer frustration to the game. Then you pair that with the incredible amount of mobs all of a sudden blocking your path that take way too long to kill. That, or the giant axes that chase you through the map, or the gun that shoots over half the screen and you can't get away from. And you get to start to see why you start to lose your patience. Now, I like auto-scrolling levels when they're done right. But having a clunky dodge feature that picks and chooses when it will dodge, making it irritating, then having enemies that even when you're fully leveled up take forever to kill, and you start to see where it was poorly developed. But we're not even done with auto-scrollers yet. We still have more to complain about because that's what this review seems to be. I want you to look at this guy. This blob of oil or whatever it is. I want you guys to guess what his job is. You know what? I'm just going to tell you. His job is just to block your path. That's it. He simply blocks your path and you can't hurt him, or at least I didn't figure out a way to. This means he just blocks you. He just blocks an entire area and you have to figure out a way to go around or go back and dodge. And in an auto-scrolling level, that's incredibly impossible when the screen is literally pushing towards you. I want you guys to meet his friend. This strapping fellow is a fly. Know what he does? He hunts you down on the platforms and he takes way too long to kill. But last but not least though, meet the goop puddle. You know what he does? He slows you down. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because on the way to Guardian 3, we have auto-scrolling levels filled with blobs blocking your path. A sky level with flies chasing you and knocking you off your platform. And we got a boss that literally has the entire arena covered in slow motion goop. Combat is already poor and the movements already suck, and the damage you do is nothing compared to what the enemies can do to you. This game really wants you to move and dodge, but at the same time wants it to not move and dodge and be tactical. You can't have it both ways, Flynn, Son of Crimson. These are two competing ideologies. You're screaming, move, dodge, and advance, while you're putting everything in the game that says stop, don't, no. It just competes with each other and makes it for a frustrating gameplay. One cool thing, though, is we got to ride Dex. Well, a Dex lookalike. Our doggo's still sick. If we got to do more with Dex and explore the world and solve puzzles and levels together, I think this would have changed my opinion, as well as many others, about what Flynn, Son of Crimson has to offer. Now, there has been something that I've been leaving out, and that's this thing called the Scourge. And I've done this on purpose because the game also kind of just left it out. The Scourge will randomly, but not so randomly, lock levels. And then you have to go back to a level you've already completed and play it now with the Scourge. It's basically the same level with a dark twist and slightly different monsters. Now, you will either be running from a giant axe or you'll be running from the ridiculous amount of enemies that are within the Scourge. It's the exact same gameplay as before. The enemies take way too long to kill, and so you're just going to run past them anyway, so it really offers nothing to the actual level itself. And you do all this to go and hit this little tiny glowing ball. When the ball pops, the Scourge is defeated. Congratulations. It kind of just feels like a time filler because it does nothing to at all enhance the gaming experience and just kind of seems to pad the time. Now, when I first had my first Scourge event, I was like, oh, crazy, we're going to go fight this new boss, or it's going to be something crazy and cool. And no, it's literally the same level, just with a different filter over it and different enemies. There's no difference to the actual core gameplay mechanics. The second thing that I haven't talked about really is that we have a Pokemon rival in this game. Our Pokemon rival shows up to test our strength. And you know, as always, you beat them and they always go, oh, how am I so much stronger than you? And then you beat me and I'll be back to kick you next time. Then they do things like give you the key to an item because you are stupid and they are smart. So they gave you the key to an item that makes you stronger. And they go, that's not fair. I gave it to you. It should be mine. You know, the classic tropes with Pokemon. You're basically fighting Team Rocket. You will learn to hate these game mechanics as it did just another cliche in the 2D platforming genre. Done properly, this is fine. But sadly, here, it's just annoying at this point. We are almost done. So just bear with me. Don't you quit on me yet. And if you stayed this long, you better like and you better comment and you better subscribe. Because we might as well have a conversation. We both had to go through this together. So we bring back the guardian spirit to our dog Dex. We heal her, but this time she disappears. So there's that. And we get told to get to the top of the mountain again. So we're still doing the exact same thing we were doing before. So after doing some of the most infuriating maps, like this sky one here, we find Dex. Going up to her, she looks strong. But once we get to her, a word prompt says she needs another spirit because she's so sick. Alright, off we go to do the same thing we've been doing the whole game. Only now does the game try to offer any sort of other kind of mechanics, but it's a little too late at this point. We randomly get this puzzle where we have to hit the items in the correct order to open the door. It's out of nowhere, you kind of just throw in these mechanics and then expect the player to be like, oh, I forgive you for everything else that happened in this game. We just don't forgive you. You can get the code from reading the books within the library. This is a nice change of pace. Too bad it only happened the once and a little too late. Then we get these chains that lift us up and down, which is also a nice touch, but a little too late. We also do a worm maze, which wasn't half bad actually. I enjoyed the worm maze, but once again, it's a little too late. These were all good things, and if they were there throughout more of the game, then I would be here for this game all day and I would be singing its praises from the rooftops. But it was just a little too late. It was all going smoothly until this though. Like, what the hell is this? At what point did the game prepare us for full screen attacks? And why have a floating platform when the boss is constantly nowhere near the platform? So we die to fall damage constantly. This is the massive spike in difficulty that is not fun at all. After trying to beat this guardian for way too long, I just gave up. There is only one level left and I can't even be bothered to play it at this point. That might seem like a cop-out, but this game is frustrating. And games are meant to be fun and enjoyed by the player, not frustratingly annoying where they feel more stressed out than when they sat down. This game mechanic is not fun. This boss is not fun. It does so much damage and can do so many different maneuvers that you can't really counter it. Now, there is players that have, but I'm happy for them to have dedicated the time to it. I personally will not. Now, on this channel, we do reviews until the game is complete or until we have a very good understanding of the core game mechanics. Now, Flynn, Son of Crimson is not a terrible game. Let's make that clear. I went as harsh on Flynn, Son of Crimson as it did when it threw us into those Guardian fights and auto-scrolling levels. Another thing I want to note is one of the selling features to me getting this game was on the store Steam page. We see an epic dogfight with Dex, giving the impression this would be a main part of the story, and that we would be playing a companion journey through this game rather than just a solo journey. Little did we know we'd lose Dex immediately upon the start of the game. Now, we do not read reviews before we play, as it may impact our decisions and our opinions of the game. But now reading them, what I said is good, others agreed with, and what I said is bad, others agreed with. So I feel confident that this review is fair. With that being said, I give Flynn, Son of Crimson a 4 out of 10. To put it simply, I just won't remember this game in a week. It's too good to be badly remembered and too bad to be fondly remembered. It's just a below average 2D side-scrolling game. It gains a pity point for its price. It's only $20 Canadian, but it also is on Game Pass. Let's be honest, the Game Pass is the best option if you have it. It is basically free at that point. Flynn, Son of Crimson will offer you 5 to 6 hours of gameplay, so it's neither a big expense in money or time. It also gains a point because it was crowdfunded, and it is a functioning game. It's just, in my opinion, pretty below average. There's nothing about this game to make it stand out within an already well-defined genre. There's many other games it could have looked to for inspiration and to lean off of, and it chose to do it at the most mediocre of levels. I do recommend that you maybe check it out, just because it is a functioning game and it is on the Game Pass, so it doesn't cost you anything. But it's not a game I would recommend going out and, rushing to get. If you see it, maybe give it a shot. Just something a little off script. We are trying different types of reviews. I enjoy doing the reviews and I enjoy learning how to do them. It's just going to take a while before we develop our own sort of template. I'm trying to cover the bases as well as also giving you as much of the gameplay as I can, and I'm truly doing my best. So if you have any suggestions, let me know in the comments down below, because I would like to form the best possible review template for you. Well, that felt good. We got the first not so positive review out of the way. I'm excited for my first 1 out of 10, but Flynn wasn't that. To be fair, the first 3 hours, I actually really enjoyed the game. Then it became grating. It became overbearingly monotonous. That's the best way to describe it. Anyways, I am Mr. Flatface, a man with many faces and even more opinions, and this was my review of Flynn, Son of Crimson. If you enjoyed the content, please leave me a like. And while you're there, maybe consider subscribing. And as well, have you played Flynn, Son of Crimson? If so, what was your experience? And do you have a game you want me to try? Let me know in the comments below. I hope to see you in the next one. Until then, I have to go check that my face is plumb. Have a good day.